In 2016, this dude starts running for president, and I'm like,
Uh,
that's when the dam broke open. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm sitting there watching this man, and I'm like, okay, he's obviously a bully. He's super crude. And then the infamous leaked Hollywood Access tape comes out, right? And he's
like he's
bragging about grabbing women. And in my head, I'm like, oh, slam dunk. Slam dunk. This guy's gone. This guy's gone. Evangelicals are never going to tolerate this because I grew up in purity culture, right? Like, David, if you're caught with your girlfriend in a room for too long, even if you did nothing, you could be disqualified serving as a volunteer in your church, right?
Yeah,
Sexual purity is a big fucking deal because
we
you're
used to say, put a Bible distance between you and any other person with
totally
same sex.
right.
Yeah.
Avoid the appearance of evil. God wants to bless you. He won't bless your marriage if you're having sex before you get married, right? So all that's in the back of my head, and I see this leaked Hollywood Access tape. I'm like, oh, this dude's done. This dude's done. And then I hear the famous words, no, 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 we need a commander in chief, not a pastor in chief. And my jaw quite literally dropped to the floor. I was like, whoa, whoa, wait a second. You are telling me that I had to be held to this impossible standard where I couldn't touch myself or anyone else sexually until the day I got married. I mean, that's the rule, right? You're not masturbating. You're definitely not looking at porn, obviously. And of course, when you're dating someone, you have to stay pure. So the expectation is you're in like a moment in your life when your hormones are out of control, right? And you're just peaking as far as sexual desire goes, and you got to do nothing. Okay. So that's my standard. And if I admitted I was masturbating too much, I'd probably be kicked off of the worship team. This bro is grabbing women by the you know what and bragging about it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you're telling me this is God's chosen? God is working through this man? God can use anyone? And I was like, F no. Now, I would say fuck no now, but back then I'm like, F no. And that was the real beginning of me being like, I could stomach a lot in these spaces. The culture war issues. We're always waging war on Starbucks during Christmas. I think we're way too mean to gay people, even though I wasn't affirming. But guys, like, something is way wrong. So that was really the beginning. And then Black Lives Matter and COVID were all just positions that I saw the church taking where I was like, nothing adds up from a Christian perspective. This is not loving our neighbor, period. And then that's how we kind of get there.
Insane. Hey, I recently went on like an absolute pirate. Well, I go through these seasons where I'm like, I'm not going to be provocative. I'm not going to be provocative online. But I recently, like, I had enough with all with the stuff with the election in the US at the moment. And I wrote on Facebook, I had a rule. I never engage. Like, Twitter is my space for harmful rhetoric and bad,
terrible,
like attacking people. To get the venom out. That's
Yeah.
my. But I'm like, Facebook is not the place. But I broke the rule here. And I said, if I ever became convinced of the Christian God again, I couldn't call myself a Christian. The term has become synonymous with anti-science, anti-LGBT, bigotry, and misogyny. I'm gobsmacked at how Christians could champion such an antichrist figure. It's unironically evil. If this upsets you, unfriend me. And I got a lot of old church friends on there, and a lot of them did unfriend me. But I had a lot of Christians from Australia reach out and say, I couldn't agree more, or someone said, I don't get it either, Dave, it's embarrassing. And these are strong Christians, and it's like, I don't understand. Honestly, I would have probably voted for Kanye West back when there was rumors Kanye West was going to go, before he was a white supremacist, or
raging
whatever.
anti-Semite, right?
Yeah, raging anti-Semite.
Yes,
But what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Yeah, and I just didn't understand that. I remember watching a Michael Moore documentary, I think Fahrenheit 9/11 or something, and there was a part where they were at this conference, and these Christians got up and started saying like the Lord's Prayer really out loud to disturb the conference, and I was like, why are the Christians protesting like the liberal side? Like I was so confused, and then it hit me. I was like, wait. Are the Christians the ones with the guns? And I was like, the conservatives one. Like, and I was so confused as an Australian. I was like, obviously, like, like, when I look at the Bible, I look at, like, Peter trying to defend the literal Son of God. And then Jesus say, those who live by the sword will die by the sword. And, like, rebuke him for taking out his sword. And it's just like, but... So I started getting, like, I think my frustration with that started all the way back then with, like, what Christians were we're doing, being so firm in some areas, but then following what I consider completely anti-biblical,
Same.
anti-Christian stuff.
I mean, I tell people often all I was doing was holding people to the standard I was taught. I at this point in the journey in 2016, I'm still pretty moderate. I'm more pro-life than pro-choice. I'm still not fully affirming. I voted third party, which means I voted for whoever the third party candidate was in the U.S. I didn't vote for Clinton. So like this was not me being like, I'm deconstructing now. It was like, guys, I don't think you're being consistent in the ethic that you taught me is an objective fact of the universe. Like, how come these so-called universal truths about God and sexuality and love and justice can get thrown out the window when you want this guy in power? So all of my work started there in my head. It didn't come out till 2020, but even to this day, I like to think, and maybe to a degree I'm not, but you never know, but I like to think I'm being consistent in my Christian beliefs these days, not inconsistent. I take the words of Jesus literally. I'm a biblical literalist in that sense. Love your enemy. Those who live by the sword die by the sword. Those things still mean something to me. It's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom than it is for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. I believe that literally. So a lot of what I do now is because of my Christian faith and my interpretation of the Bible. It is the Christian nationalists and people back then voting for Trump that I think were the ones actually doing what they warned me about. They were giving into worldly desires, right? And their faith was secondary to their politics.